The great reset housing squeeze. The great squeeze. I think that we're starting to see signs of who was going to be buying all of these houses that were being abandoned due to the riots, partly, and then, of course, partly because of the COVID responses, putting people out of house and home because their business gets lost or they lose their job, and so they move somewhere else, maybe to a smaller dwelling or an apartment, who knows, right? But if you're not working anymore, you lost your business, you're probably not going to be living the way that you were before, so there's going to be a shift in that. Now, I was wondering who's going to come and start buying all these properties that are being abandoned. And there's a possible line on that now from a company that's already been buying properties up for 4 or 5 years now, pretty steadily. And actually, last year was their best year so far. I think they raked 613 million US or something like that, despite the pandemic. So that company is Blackstone, and it's owned by and CEO'd by and founded by Steve Schwarzman, who you may or may not remember him, but he was chilling with Donnie Trump throughout the election court cases to see if it was fraudulent or not. So he was with him the whole time, supporting him until the bitter end, at which point he said, okay, enough is enough, now I support Biden. So that's the way he went now or whatever, and I'm sure he continues to roll. Well, I know he continues to roll because that's what we got to talk about now, is that I guess he's starting to buy property for higher values than what it was worth. Like anywhere from, I think I heard 30 to 50%, something like that. Even if 30 was the high number, that's a lot more money for a property than what it's currently valued at. So my opinion is that what that does is it keeps people who are going to pay a fair price for it from getting it. So he takes it no matter what. He's got the power. It's like the guy who's got all the monopoly money. He'll pay whatever he has to. He's going to get it all in the end and run it all and win it all, run it all in the end. So that's how that's rolling, kind of thing. I guess you could, well, for sure you could say that it's going to boost the cost of housing artificially because he's paying more for them. So when all these houses start getting sold for a higher amount, it's going to create a new plateau for the house values. So he's creating an artificial inflation on housing, and that'll also keep people from wanting to buy, because it's going to be way more than what it should be, way more than they're willing to or can pay even, right? So part of all that too, I think, is what I think is controlled demolition of lumber as well, to create another artificial inflation on that. So now nobody can buy any or build anything new to buy either. So it slows anybody down from buying anything at all, because that's not what they want. They want all the property up as much as they can get at a time anyway. It's of course done incrementally, but there's times when you can bull run it. So this is a bull run at the housing market. Now this will tie into your you'll own nothing and you'll be happy shit, where eventually I think that they want to use China as the model for everybody, and we'll have some kind of a social credit thing, and depending on how good you are in the world is where you're going to get a lot of the place to live, and you can pick. Oh, it'll be so nice. You'll be happy. A lot of kids would go for that these days. Kids that are calling for communism and Marxism and stuff, they'd say, oh, there we go, now it's finally fair, people will be paid what they're worth. So what's that Marxist saying? For every man who produces what his worth is, he should be allotted, or some shit like that. I can't remember the direct quote right now. Of course it's a lie. In the end, it's going to be a two-tier system. That's what it'll be. We'll be back in feudalism again. What a world. But that's what's coming. And I don't know, some people are preparing for shit to get crazy. I don't know if they have to make it crazy. It looks like a lot of it's just going on already anyway, and it's just business as usual. Even if it's corrupt, that's still business as usual too. Like I was saying, Schwarzman is friends with Trump, good friends, like sitting next to him and stuff through the hearings, And to me, it's just like people shouldn't trust Trump. That's another reason not to. I lost a bunch of subs over talking shit about Trump, but the truth has to get out there. It's too much. So many people are emotionally incensed by it, but look at the facts. He's not the capitalist that he was saying he was, in a sense, anyway. His daughter is a speaker at the World Economic Forum, right? she also wears a red string around her wrist because she's a Kabbalist now as well, right? Like, come on, guys, figure it out already. You know, so many people are so wrapped up in their own emotional clinging to the world that they've built based on the information they've been given, that they don't want to give that illusion up, come to reality. But so whatever. So yeah, most of it'll probably just happen softly. I guess that's all there is to say about that. That's how they're going to corner one end of it, of this great reset plan. People are wondering, how are they actually going to do it? Well, they'll just squeeze you out. Between the, like I say, the riots and the disease, they were able to squeeze a lot of people out already. And the same thing is happening in Canada too. So that's something that's happening in the States. But up here in Canada, we've got our housing prices going through the roof now too, and there's no good reason for it. It's not like there's an influx of people and work and money to cause this. But what's happening in Canada, from what I can see, is that the Chinese are buying up a bunch of property around here as well, which I think will be the exact same thing. The Chinese businesses are all connected typically to the Chinese Communist Party. So that's who's likely buying all that property up. More great reset shit, right? So just squeeze everybody out. They don't have to use guns and bullets and violence in the UN. They can just do business. So another part about all that, maybe that's good on that. Yeah, that's good on that, I think. So whatever. So that covers Canada and the United States for the kind of things that are going on with inflating house prices and why. You won't get your violent revolution if that's what you were hoping for. That's what I think. It won't even be necessary. But yeah. Well, yeah, so that gets me into more squeezing investments. I was talking about that at the beginning. So this ties into the election as well, because in October, JP Morgan invested quite heavily in Bitcoin as a way to hedge themselves against the inflation that, you know, of course, their banks are in on anyway. They don't care. So they've done that. And a whole bunch of other people obviously started buying it up too. And well, of course, we've seen Elon Musk also buying it up, saying that's the thing to do. And he'll let you buy his cars with your Bitcoin. And then like a couple weeks later, he's like, Dogecoin. People drop Bitcoin for Dogecoin. So what ends up happening is by the time he says it, everybody's usually buying on a peak, not a valley. Because a lot of these people are just trying to get through this and trying to get rich too or whatever. So they're new investors and they don't know when to buy. So they buy it thinking it's just going to keep going up because it already went up so much. But, you know, then it goes back down. So I think you've got bad actors like him stimulating people to buy in at a high, and then they're going to drop it out on you on purpose eventually. They already have, in a sense. China's dropped a bunch out too because they said it was going to be illegal now. And then Janice Yellen, she said that shit too, right? And a bunch of people dropped it then too. So there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to get squeezed out of their own money because they've bought into that stuff high and they can't get out of it now. The GME is kind of the GameStonk thing is what kind of stimulated people getting interested in trying to invest in this and that and the other thing. So a bunch of people started doing it. And then there was the silver rumor too, and silver started going up crazy for a little bit. And then the bank just printed more fucking paper silver and dropped the value back down anyway. So there's a bunch of people holding that still too. Or if they choose to trade it in, they're going to take a loss on it. So I think it's just another way to squeeze people out. Back over to Elon. And then what does he say next? He says Dogecoin. After that, he says, oh, well, Bitcoin is actually really hard on the environment because of all the CO2 it produces for the computers that mine it. So he's a bad actor too. You know, don't trust him. Don't trust Trump. Don't trust any of these public figures. They are where they are right now for a reason. This whole hidden shadow government thing is worldwide, and it has tentacles everywhere, up everyone's butt. If someone's famous and doing well, or a politician, you can bet that they're in on it at this point. I don't think there's too many that are against it. Not even China, like they pretend to be. No, China's going to be the model for everyone. That's what they want, I think, everyone to look like. They tried in the Soviet Union, and that didn't work that way, obviously. So now they've gone the Chinese route of communism, how it looks and operates, which is kind of like how Russia's starting to sort of look like now too. So if they ever get their way and manage to manipulate it softly for us the whole rest of the way, that's what free nations will eventually look like. Something like that. If you really want to know how bad it could get, go to Sweden. Actually, iHypocrite just put out a video about Sweden that would be interesting for you to watch, maybe, about how gross it is there. You have to book your laundry like a week in advance, and you get an hour or two to do it, and then you have to clean everything up after you're done. It's completely centralized. If you want to go get liquor, you got to buy beers single. They don't sell like cases or six packs or anything. The idea is to try to get you to drink less. And it's really expensive too. I think that to have a beer out in the bar, it was like $14 US for a single drink. So most people are going to have one drink if they fucking can afford it that day. It's the kind of shit that could be going on. It's easier to do with people in Sweden because they're already so depressed because they barely get any sunlight for most of the year, I think. But, you know, whatever. So anyway, scroll back to Elon. We're not done with Elon yet. So everybody trusts him as this, like, he's the hero of the tech. Like, you know, screw Bill Gates, but support Elon Musk or whatever kind of thing. But, yeah. And then you got to look at his old lady, too. Grimes just came out saying that the way to fast track to communism is going to be technology. And I'd suppose that it's the technology that Musk has going on, too. Or just in general. She's just a bad actress, and she'll get anybody she can to listen to her. If you look at her and Elon, the way they're viewed or the way they should be viewed, she's pretty much like an SJW with her dyed hair and freaky style. And then you look at Elon, and he's supposed to be this rebel who doesn't believe in COVID and all this, and people support him because of that. But look at his wife; they're completely opposite. But they're both guiding you, in my opinion, to the same direction, to peacefully have this worldwide socialism come. I still talk about a war. I'm not saying there won't be. There's one going on right now. There could be another one coming. Part of the way of getting rid of a good chunk of population would be to have a fight. It's not like China doesn't want to get rid of chunks of their population either, okay? They just released a bunch of water from some dams last year because the dams were going to fail if they tried to hold back that much water because they were built like shit. And they flooded out a bunch of valleys and killed a bunch of people. They don't give a rat's ass. So, I mean, to me, that star, that 5-pointed star on their flag and the Soviet flag and anywhere else that has a 5 or a 6-pointed star on it is in on shit together. The language of symbolism, it matters. Double-headed eagles. That's a good one, too. As a matter of fact, when the Soviets took over, that was their first money. It had like a double-headed eagle on it, like Assyrian, Babylonian, Mason. So yeah, so there's some thoughts on all that shit, how they're going to just keep squeezing people into the Great Reset. It's just war with money. They don't even have to. It's silent war. I think that's about all I have to say about that for now. Yeah, that's good enough. I could ramble on, but fuck it, that's good enough. All right, there's food for thought. Peace out. If you're going to buy a house, I don't know. It would be a bad buy right now. No one would want to, but maybe it'd be the only way that you can secure a place that you can call your own, even though you have to pay out the nose for it. So good luck with all that.